if I hadn't gone to that trade show, this would have never happened.
Hello, everyone. I'm Adasha Townsend, the content director for the SupplySide Food and Beverage Journal Media brand. I'm here today with Brian Bethke. He is the founder of Bare Maple Farms. And that sounds like it's going to be a farm, but it's actually a beverage. How did you come up with that name, Brian?
So, Bear was actually my nickname growing up. It's what my mom
What?
called me. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about it.
Yes. So, I don't know where it came from, but ever since I was like 3 years old, my mom called me Bear, so that it just kind of fit. It stuck. When I started the beverage, I wanted it to be meaningful. I wanted it to be representative and authentic of like high quality and something that I was proud to stand behind.
So there's no actual farm behind this?
Oh, so there are multiple farms. We use maple water as the natural sweetener.
Okay.
So maple water is the sap before it's boiled down into maple syrup, and it's basically water that's filtered through the cells of the tree. It takes out everything bad, and
This is really scientific.
it's really healthy. It's
Okay.
what it is. It's amazing stuff. So that is the maple portion of the Bare Maple Farms.
So that's what sweetens the beverage in your
Yes.
product? Okay.
Yep.
So tell us about the product. There are so many functional beverages out there. You started this product in 2020. So tell us how you came up with this product and what is the hero ingredient of this product?
So this originated when during the pandemic, my family and I have a 6-year-old daughter at the time. We moved up to the Catskills, which is about 3 hours north of New York City, and it's absolutely beautiful there. You know, there's beautiful forests and waterfalls and streams, and it's totally bucolic. And our backyard is totally maple trees.
Okay.
And so I took my 6-year-old daughter Anna out. We tapped the maple trees, discovered how delicious maple water tastes, and also discovered that ginseng grows naturally all throughout the maple forests of the Northeast.
Wow. Okay.
They're symbiotic plants. They grow together in nature. So I started experimenting with grinding up the ginseng and brewing it like a tea in the maple water. And that was the birth of Bare Maple Farms.
Wow. Okay. So you got the ginseng, you've got the maple, and you have these cool, unique flavors. Name those flavors again. You get some really cool
Yeah.
flavors.
So we have yuzu citrus. It's
Okay.
very popular, followed by lemongrass mint and ginger citrus. In the lemongrass mint, that was inspired by the lemongrass and the mint growing right in my garden in the backyard in the Catskills.
Tell me more about that.
So it was an experiment that I expected to be a complete disaster and taste horrible, but I thought, okay, let's try it anyway. And I was brewing up a batch. I threw in the mint and the lemongrass and gave it to my 6-year-old daughter, and she's like, "Dad, this is the best flavor you've ever made. You have to keep this one." And my wife and my daughter are my super tasters.
I love that super taster. That's so awesome.
If they disapprove, then it doesn't make the cut.
So we were talking before, and you were discussing how there's so many different types of ginseng. So I want to get into that. How many? Do you know how many? And just talk about your adventure in finding the perfect ginseng to go in your beverage.
Right. So the main two types are American ginseng and Korean ginseng, or sometimes referred to as Asian ginseng. And ginseng, there's a huge variety in quality in ginseng. So it needs to grow traditionally about 10 plus years in order for the health compounds, which there's compounds with crazy names like RG3 and RG5 and RK1. There's about 300 different ginsenosides within ginseng. And
This is deep.
Yeah, it gets deep. It's really it's the most studied adaptogen in the world.
My goodness.
And I can get super deep in this because I read so many of those studies, and I find it fascinating because I wanted the highest quality ginseng in the world. And so it turns out one of those ginsenosides, RG3, is a really good marker for quality in ginseng. So I went to every single supplier and said, "Can you supply me with ginseng with RG3?" And I got no after no after no after no. Everyone turned me down. And then I finally found her.
Where did you find it?
There was, so she was based in China.
Okay.
And I had a meeting that I set up with her at SupplySide East in Secaucus, New Jersey. And I went there and we met up. And this was going to be my ginseng. This was going to be the one. It took 2 years of searching for this. And I finally found it. And we sit down. I'm smiling. She's smiling. She had flown all the way from China. And she says, 这件事是不可能的，不管我们谁都不给你做, which means it's impossible. We can't do it.
Oh my goodness.
And I was crushed. That was my dream.
Right.
2 years. And so I'm walking down the trade show floor. And I thought it was over. I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this product if I don't have ingredients with integrity, something that I can stand behind. And all of a sudden, I see this sign with all the ginsenosides written out on it, and right in the middle is RG3. And I stumbled upon this startup from Belgium that grows ginseng hydroponically.
Wow.
It concentrates the ginsenosides. The root thinks that the seasons are going in a sped up rate.
Okay.
So that we get the equivalent of 10-year-old ginseng in the course of 3 months.
No way.
It's mind-blowing. It's the highest quality of ginseng in the world. It's very, very healthy. And concentrated within that ginseng is those health compounds that lend the immunity, the stress resilience, because it's an adaptogen, and the mental clarity and focus that ginseng is so well known for. And
that's nice.
It just all came together. We grind up the ginseng root. We don't use an extract. We grind it up and we brew it like a tea in the maple water. And it is the most clean, crisp, delicious, beautiful beverage ever.
So because you found this ginseng at SupplySide East, but it's now called SupplySide Connect New Jersey, you were able to create this product. So talk about how that helped speed up the process.
If I hadn't gone to that trade show, this would have never happened.
Oh my goodness.
It was so pivotal. SupplySide was the key to the whole thing. And I'm so grateful. I had a mentor who actually he knew I was looking for this ingredient, and he said, "Oh, go to this trade show. You'll be taken care of." And he was right, and I'm so grateful for it. And so thank you to SupplySide. I mean, yeah.
One other thing I wanted to ask you about the ginseng, you said there's so many different varieties. Does that also factor in as far as a flavor profile with all the different types of ginseng and how that's going to affect the
not
flavor?
Necessarily that there's a lot of varieties. There's a large variation in quality in ginseng because of, and sustainability is a big issue here, because there's different ways to grow ginseng. You can wild cultivate it, but if you go out and forage it in the forest, in the Catskills, that's not sustainable for us. It's just not on our scale. And if you grow it in fields, you have to use pesticides and fertilizers, and those build up in the root.
Right.
And that's not what we're going for either. That's so growing ginseng hydroponically was really the only way to do it sustainably.
Can you explain what hydroponic means?
So hydroponic means it's grown in a substrate that's like a water-based, and you control the nutrients in the fluids around the root. So it's basically growing it in water.
And you said that when you grow it in this method, it speeds up the process that would have taken normally 10 years.
Exactly.
That's so awesome. So you can get more of it at a time as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. So because the root thinks that the seasons are going at a sped up rate, and it's getting extra nutrients, you control all of those factors and simulate nature, but do it really fast.
You know, before we end, I wanted to talk about the flavor profiles that you have and how you came up with those flavor profiles, because again, like I said, they're unique, they're tempting, and just how did you come up with those tastes?
It was very much inspired by the influences around me. ingredients from both the Catskills, and yuzu was inspired by living in China. You know, that
Oh.
yuzu is like a Japanese lemon
Mm-hmm.
that has a lot of floral nuance to it.
So
It's
good.
like the better half of lemon. It's
Yes.
really has an amazing like thing going on with it, and it adds a lot of balance and depth and nuance. So I love that ingredient.
Is that your favorite flavor?
It is lemongrass mint.
Okay.
Recently is my favorite flavor. I've been really into that for a while. I was super like I have 2 month periods where I go through an obsession with a certain flavor and then move to another one.
Okay. And what inspired you to create this beverage in the first place? This functional beverage?
I was drinking way too much caffeine,
Okay.
and my wife was like, Brian, you got to cool it down with caffeine. This is, and she's right. But I'm an entrepreneur. I'm looking to optimize every part of the day, and I've got to get through that meeting and get through that and that. And so I felt like I didn't have a choice. And through discovering maple water and ginseng with my daughter, I just started drinking it on a daily basis for myself. And at the time, I had sold my previous business in the music industry and was looking for what my next product was going to be. And I was drinking at the time I was, learning how to code in Python and building machine learning algorithms and stuff like that, which was a lot of fun. But I was drinking Bare Maple Farms that I had created in my kitchen for myself at that time. And at some point I was like,
I need to
you
let
know what?
more people try this.
I'm not sure I want to be sitting in front of the computer the rest of my life. Maybe this is my product because there's nothing like this on the shelf. And so I did kind of a test. Did a whole batch, sent it out to 20 friends, and they were all like, this is really, really good.
Nice.
So that was the start.
That is fantastic. Brian, thank you so much for sharing your story. I mean, everything from having SupplySide help you with the ginseng to the flavor profiles to having your family involved with it, everything is just so inspiring. So I appreciate you sitting down and having a conversation with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. So, Adasha Townsend from SupplySide Food and Beverage Journal signing off. Always go to supplysidefbj.com to see all the content that we have. Great stories like the one with Brian. And we will see you soon.